Morning, everyone, and welcome to In the Sphere with Vijay Eswaran. What advice then do you have for people who are scared and who need to get ready to take that jump?
If you are scared, that by itself is a place you don't want to be because you're making decisions based on fear. And when you make decisions based on fear, you will inevitably fail. So that's number one. Number two, face your ultimate fear. What is your ultimate fear? Your ultimate fear is you get fired. You see, there's two words. When in the Asian context, when we say firing, I don't mean leaving your job. I mean getting hammered by the boss. This is sometimes far more painful for them than actually leaving the job. But if you get immune to that, if you learn to understand it for what it is, because a boss will never waste his time hammering somebody who's not worth their potential. But if you are getting hammered, it probably means that there's something in you that he sees, because it takes time and effort to go through hammering.
How do you start to grow into a position where you can take that hammering? I mean, isn't it failing?
Failing is a part of life. Failing is the first thing you learn to embrace. So here's my question to you, right? For someone who's ridden a bike for as long as you have, would the fear of falling, the fear of another scrape or a bruise tomorrow stop you from riding the bike?
No.
So what was your question again exactly?
Am I not failing if my boss feels like I've not done my job right, so much so that he has to hammer me?
Is your boss always right? To himself,
No.
yes. To himself, yes. But the point of the question is, more often than not, he could be right. I'm not saying not. But he also there's a chance that he could be wrong. Either way, you need to test your theory to the limits that as long as you are fully capable of willing to learn, you never stop learning. If you are never afraid of making U-turns, you see, failure and getting hammered is not the biggest problem. For most of these middle managers who are stuck and dying, on the vine, as it were, drying up and withering in the vine, as it were, U-turns is more dangerous. U-turns is what they hate the most. So their issue is not getting hammered. Their issue is their internal ego and being forced to make U-turns. The issue is they will be stubborn enough to stay on with their decision even if they know they are wrong, even if it meant it was to the detriment of the company. Now, is that a person we need?
No.
So I need people who are willing to make U-turns. Now, in the process of making U-turns, all right, will they get hammered? Absolutely.
If you are perhaps not yet at the stage in your career where you're a manager, but you're working under a good manager, how do you start to grow your independence? How do you start to step up and shine?
You need to pick up 100% of everything that your manager has, because he could have 20% of bad habits, but you wouldn't be able to differentiate where that 20% actually lies. So you pick up a 100% of everything first. You become a carbon copy. You completely replicate him. Now, after replicating him, you have to actually change from replicating him to duplicating him. Replicating him is where you are a carbon copy of him, including all of his mistakes. But duplicating him is where you look at his workflow, the source and the output. And then you say, how can I double this? And then you're duplicating him. But you're doing it your way. A duplication is about changing, the individual, but not, the source or the outflow. Replicating is actually becoming the same individual.
Datoshi, it seems like that's all the time we have together, but I have to say, thank you so much for sitting with me and talking me through these questions. This has been a truly amazing session, and I can see just how much I can grow from this insight. To all our streamers listening in, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in the next session.